Welcome to Life on Maui. I'm your host, Steve and Freid. My guest today is Semyon Bilmes, artist and art teacher. He's had a fascinating background, which we will be discussing today. Welcome to the show, Semyon.
Thank you, Steve.
So glad you could come.
Thank you.
In your website is the word atelier. What does that mean?
Atelier is a French word for studio, basically. In Italy, they had the word bottega, and in France, they call it atelier. And in art, French language sort of took over, and in Russia, where I'm from, we use a lot of French words to describe a lot of artistic art processes, and studio as well is atelier. It's an art studio. There's a studio where artists paint and draw, and there's also atelier, could be teaching atelier. So
French is the international language of art?
Correct.
Wow, I didn't know that. So that extended all the way to USSR.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Huh. Did you begin with art while you were in USSR? Did you begin after you came to this country?
Yeah, I studied in Russia, in ex-Soviet Union, and I graduated Academy of Art in Russia. And when I came to the United States, I already was trained artist, but then I thought that I actually needed to have more education and American diploma, so I enrolled in Parsons School of Design, which I also graduated.
In New York City.
Yes, correct.
Your teaching consists of the Russian system of training, which is classical realist training.
Yes, very true.
What is that? Describe that.
Well, it was at some point when the Western world sort of got into more of the modern art. The Soviet Union did not, and they proclaimed it to be bourgeois decadence, and they basically kept the academic system of 19th century in Russia, and they actually improved on it. So it was very strong in drawing and in painting. It was extremely hard to get in those academies because they were free and the competition was brutal. They had 100 to 150 people per spot.
Wow.
Yes. So some people would enroll for continuously for 6, 7, 8 years, trying to break in. It was very hard, very hard. And then once you're in, it just was extremely hard work to study.
It seems like out of Russia comes classical dance.
Correct.
And you're saying art. I'm not sure to what extent music, but why do you think Russia has that kind of gravitas around the arts in that way?
That's a good question. I think traditionally Russia itself was pretty high in arts. But then once the Soviet Union became Russia, or it actually encountered more republics than just Russia, the system was very much oriented towards very classical education, and in arts specifically. They had a very good education pretty much everywhere. They had education in arts, but also in sciences as well.
Yeah, well, we know that the space program was neck and neck with Sputnik and, and all of that.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Huh. That's so for those of us that are a little geographically impaired, what's Russian? What's USSR? I mean, what's the correlation? Just the
well, USSR is doesn't even exist anymore.
Exactly.
So it's in the past. It's like Krypton.
Right.
So
right.
it just blew up, and
right.
and here a few of us on in America, I guess. But the USSR consisted of 15 republics, and I grew up in a republic which was called Azerbaijan.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, but Russia by far is the biggest, was the biggest, and after other republics sort of separated from Russia, Russia itself has 11 time zones.
Russia has
Yes.
11 time zones.
It's huge. It's humongous. It's the biggest by far country on earth.
Wow. So you emigrated from USSR years ago.
Yes.
To New York City, first stop.
Correct.
Statue of Liberty.
Correct.
Then to Oregon, now to Maui.
Correct.
Talk about that process. I mean, what's that like coming up to New York City, Statue of Liberty?
Well, New York was a very interesting place. I lived there for about 6.5 years, and it was a very interesting experience. I have to tell you. But I didn't like big cities. I moved to Oregon with my wife, Ala, and she also graduated Parsons. She was studying with fashion design.
That's right. You and she went. It's Alla, A-L-L-A.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the kind you
without
worship.
an H.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And she studied fashion design. She graduated also with Isaac Mizrahi and Mark Jacobs together in the same group. She was studying with them for 4 years. And then we decided to move away from New York and basically start a family. So we moved to Southern Oregon. And we lived there for almost 22, 23 years. But when we came to Maui, I fell totally in love with this island, and I decided that let's move here. This is the most inspiring place that I have ever been to.
It's a love affair, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I saw us living here, and it was just dream come true. We moved here about 9 months ago.
That 9 months ago?
Yeah.
And you've created what you've created up there in that short time?
Yeah.
He's got an amazing studio compound in Haiku that we'll talk more about what he's doing there, but 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, but I used to teach art, and I had an Academy of Art. It was called National Academy of Art. And it was a pretty big school. We had people from all over the country and from other countries of the world. Had people coming to study with us from Spain, Barcelona, from Amsterdam, from Germany, Canada, and from all over the States. So it was a pretty big school, but once I came here, I said, we need to move here.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved here and shrunk. We got a very small place going right now, which is Atelier
Yeah.
Maui.
Yeah.
And, 5 students moved with me to Maui.
That blew my mind. So I came to visit you for the pre-interview, and so you imported 5 students.
Yeah,
That's
they moved here,
Uh-huh.
and we continue studying. But I didn't want to have big school. It's just, I wanted to have small group and teach and paint because I really want to paint.
Well, that's part of it too, is that Gauguin, maybe, I don't know what other reference to use because we're familiar. You wanted to paint what was native to here.
Very true, very true.
So what tell me about that. What?
Well, as I told you, I had a vision. I was in this hotel. I went to the balcony. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. It was beautiful sky, stars and ocean under the feet there. It was just such a beautiful night, and I had a vision. I just saw those paintings that I'm supposed to paint, and it had to do with Hawaii, and it had to do with Hawaiian people. And it just was such a strong vision. I woke up my wife in the morning and I said, Allah, this is what I saw. This is what I'm supposed to do. It was very interesting. I never had anything like that. It was, and that's why we decided to move.
Yeah, you two seem to have a very sweet relationship.
Thank you.
I mean, that's just something I observe because I see you on the beach and I see you at your home, and
yes,
there's really a kind of, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but there's a real availability to each other.
We love each other.
It's obvious. You've been together for 28 years?
28.
Wow.
Yeah,
and 4 beautiful kids, and I mean, this is like an anomaly in today. They're all living with you?
Yes. Well, not all. 3 still live with us, and because we're all artists.
Yeah.
The one just visited us and went back to LA, and he's artistic, but he is not an artist. He does his own business. But the 3 of our children, they are studying with me, and one, Daniel, is already graduated quite a while ago, and he is on his way to shock the world with his beautiful art. He's a fabulous artist. Natalie, my daughter, the older daughter, she's already also finishing up and is going to start working on her career as an artist. And the youngest, Isabel, she is 14 still, and so she's going to be studying with me for probably another 6 years.
Yeah, they're just beautiful, shiny kids, shiny in spirit.
Thank you.
As are my kids too, but I mean, it's just beautiful to see that. And you said that it's not hard and fast, but about 4 years of study.
Well, yes, at least.
At least.
It's an important process to learn to draw and paint. It's just an ability to be able to see correctly, understand what you see, and be able to relate that 3-dimensional world into 2-dimensional. And it takes quite a while. It's another language.
Right.
I call it visualese. So you have to really learn how to see, and then you have to learn how to translate what you see into the 2D from 3D. So it takes quite a while to learn. Although, I mean, some people can learn a little easier, a little faster. Some people would take more time. But it's just like in everything. In music or in literature, you still have to learn how to write, how to spell before you can, and put sentences together before you can start writing novels.
But you were saying particularly with art, more so than music, that there's some basic skills you really have to learn.
Yes, because there is a term in psychology called perceptual constancy. And people usually drawing or painting what they think they see, what they perceive. But that needs to be adjusted. And you learn how to truly understand what is it that you see and not project what you know about something For example,
that's a deep subject because we do that in life.
yeah, for example, most people would start drawing, they start drawing face, they draw nose too long. Or they draw legs too long when they start drawing figure. They usually draw hands and feet too small. It's just perception. And so it takes a while to learn how to measure, how to understand proportions well, and then structure. One has to understand structure, which has to deal with form, tone, values, and color. There's a lot to learn. It's a fascinating subject to learn, really, because once somebody learns how to see, they're amazed at what they start seeing. Just walking down the street when they see color. I mean, they never have seen this color before. All of a sudden, they see color everywhere when they didn't see it before. It's truly very enlightening.
So really, part of your process is helping someone to see differently.
Absolutely. That's a huge part of learning drawing and painting, absolutely. And that is the most important thing for the artist to do, is to learn how to draw and how to paint, how to translate reality into two-dimension. But then, again, there are other skills, such as compositional skills, and it does take a while, but it's fun.
And you have such a beautiful setting there in Haiku. I mean, the very first thing, I mean, you have your beautiful home and then this studio. It's just
yes, we have
beautiful.
Perfect north light.
Ah.
We built it exactly the way it's supposed to be, according to the recipes of the way that bodegas and ateliers were built in the 19th century. We took it exactly from there, and it's just the proportion of space of light of the windows to the floor, and it's a perfect setting.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
so classical in every sense.
And Maui is it doesn't get any better.
No, it doesn't.
It truly doesn't.
And I know you, like myself, you traveled around a lot.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
It's not like you didn't see the world.
Oh yes, we've traveled.
And when you came here, it was bingo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the way we set it up, we have breeze going through all the time.
Oh,
so
boy.
we don't have to have either heating or air conditioning. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Fresh air. As I said, I'm thrilled. I'm happy here.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, your father was a communist. He fought on 3 fronts and lived.
Yes.
And your grandparents have very different backgrounds. Talk a little bit about that background. I thought it was fascinating. One was very, how can you say it, simple, and the other was more worldly and so forth.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that all affected you, having those backgrounds.
One side was, yes, my mother's side was very, very highly educated. And before, see, in the Soviet Union, it's all before revolution and after revolution. Before revolution, it was a normal society, and then after revolution, it was what they call communists, communist at workers' paradise. But it was actually a very different life. And so, yes, my grandparents had, one side of my family came from a very humble background, and another one is from very wealthy background. So that was, the Soviet Union and the life in there was very different. And most people don't know how it truly was in America, but I think that they should really be happy that they don't live there. The opportunities here are just incredible. Even now, when we're going through economic crisis, I feel that there's so much, such a beautiful life that we can live here. And especially on this island. When we came here and I saw how arts are celebrated here, how people respect art and artists, it's just was a true pleasure for me. See, we traveled, as I said, and we lived in various places. We lived in Turkey, for example, for a while, which was a very beautiful experience. I like Turkey, and I speak some Turkish, and I like Turks a lot. It's wonderful people. But the attitude towards art and artists was, they didn't even understand why artists. They don't have that as part of the culture. I guess in Islam, they did not do much drawing. They objected to drawing people and animals, I guess, for that matter. So it was mostly decorative arts that they developed. But when I came here, it was, you know, when you talk about art, there's so many artists around. It's a great artistic community.
Oh, Maui is very thriving in that way. Small place, but a lot of thriving art.
Absolutely. And I was very eager to bring what we can offer to this island. Because there's nothing in Hawaii of that kind of art teaching, specifically drawing and painting. And when I decided that we want to come here, I thought, wow, I mean, I would love to bring that, the Russian, the classical. Some of this training is also encounters French atelier schools. So I wanted to bring that to Hawaii, and I'm glad that it is available right now to the few people here, because it's a very small place and we cannot take too many.
Well, then this conversation extends that reach a little bit that we're having. And you're a proponent of humanist art.
Correct.
Describe that.
Well, ever since the Renaissance, actually it goes all the way back to the ancient Greeks, but this art that ancient Greeks created was basically propagating beauty and the intrinsic values of the people. And so that's why it's called classical art, because classical art, unlike fashion arts, which happened to be, you know, in the 80s or 90s or 70s or 50s, and it sort of passes away, intrinsic values don't. And so classical art represents intrinsic values.
Give an example of what you mean by intrinsic values.
Well, human nature, I believe, and again, humanists believe, don't change. And so the values that we embrace, such as dignity, love, beauty, honor, courage, and so forth. We can go through a whole bunch of virtues. We respect that, we admire that, and we ought to admire that, because otherwise the society starts deteriorating. And so humanists were propagating those values, and they used art as the vehicle. You could find that in literature, you can find that even in music, and if people would understand music, and I'm sure a lot do, they feel that the music, there is different kinds of music, different kinds of art, and the one that uplifts the human spirit, it brings us higher, or to our ideals, if you will. And that was the way it was in Greek culture, ancient Greek. And then Renaissance picked it up after the Middle Ages. And then it was growing all the way to the end of 19th century. I mean, to the pretty much beginning of 20th century. And then, you know, things started changing.
The Industrial Revolution changed things, right? The
Industrial Revolution.
You were mentioning that changed the whole concept of art more to design.
Correct, and there were more design and craft-oriented schools, and because, you know, society needed those very, very much. And then there were a lot of other reasons why it sort of lost. It threw the baby with the bathwater, if you will. And the drawing and painting skills sort of ceased to exist. Oh, we have photography now. Who needs to draw? And, you know, you can just snapshot photography. But it's coming back. It does coming back. And you can see more and more. It's a very strong movement of people really looking for places to learn drawing and painting. And there's a lot going on right now. And so we're basically part of that movement. We'd like to be able to facilitate growth of art in 21st century. And to us, again, the quality is very important. It has to be, art should be good and great. And I think that we're on the right way there. There's all over the country, specifically in America, there is this movement towards learning more, and there are ateliers in different parts of the country and even in different parts of the world now, and it is growing. And as I said, humanist values are, again, it's just classical, and what is important is to propagate those values that we all need, without which society will not survive.
You have I don't know if it's your quote, but you said art is the soul of a culture, government is the body, economy is the circulation.
Government is the head.
Oh, the head.
Government is the head. The economy is a circulation of the blood circulation, goes around and charges the body with energy. And the art is the soul, is the soul of the body, of the society. And I believe it reflects what's going on. And I think that we need to uplift it. And its beauty is something that I think is extremely important to all of us.
Yeah.
And you know, it's intrinsic again. Nobody wants to build their house with a view on junkyard or dump site, you know. We would like to have a view of a beautiful ocean or mountains. And I mean, there's something intrinsic in us that admires beauty.
Yeah.
And I think that must be propagated. It must be dealt with. And again, skills are very important. Without those skills, it's very hard to create something beautiful. It's like playing beautiful music, writing beautiful novels. One has to get the skills. Painting, sculpture, it's the same. Some people have a lot to say. They feel it. They feel it. But they have to get the skills to be able to speak it, to relate it.
And you say you can teach realism, but you can't teach abstract.
Well, I certainly can't. I don't know who can, but yes, I teach realism.
So that's what you aim at. Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of circulation, you had a quadruple bypass 11 years ago.
Ooh, yes.
Describe that and how it affected your life since then.
Well, you know, it was a wake-up call, as you say in America. And I feel fine, you know. It's just a miracle of modern technology, I guess. I probably would have
You walk the beach a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have been dead a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was 11 years ago, to be exact. Well, I'm fine right now. I'm enjoying again my life, and it's a past deal.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Again, you know, I'm happy that those doctors knew what they were doing. You know, if this doctor would just not be trained well enough and would be just expressing himself and operating on me without proper training, I don't know whether I'd be here talking to you today.
Probably not. Probably not. So, just in closing, describe your future plan on Maui. What do you? I mean, I know you're a man who really has a plan. What's your future plan?
Oh, I have a lot of plans.
I know you love the beach. I know that's one plan.
Yeah, I love the beach, true.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on being there all the time. Not all the time, but
As often
for the
as you
rest
can.
for the rest of my life, I
Yeah.
want to be there as long as I can walk there or on it. But the plans, again, I have this fabulous family that my children are very, very good artists. And I'm planning to build together with them art community here. My plan is to improve as much as I can the art scene, being active part of the artist community here, contribute as much as I can to the growth of this community, create as good art as I possibly can, contribute to the culture of Maui. Specifically, as I said, I had this vision which is the people who, you know, the original Hawaiians who grew up on this land, and the native Hawaiians. And I do want to create a lot of great art. I'll try to do what I can on that. This isn't a plan.
I really appreciate you bringing the international vision of art to Maui.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, Semyon.
Thank you.
All right. So that's it for this episode. I want to give a big mahalo to James at Fusion Web Design. Check out the beautiful new website he designed at lifeonmaui.com, where you can watch every Life on Maui show from the past 5 years. So, hope you enjoyed this show as much as I did, and until next time, aloha.
Call me crazy, but I'm never giving up my